My name is Danielle Harper, and the exact second my sister-in-law stopped pretending happened on Thanksgiving afternoon, when she leaned into my passenger window, smiling like a prayer, and whispered, "This time, make sure you die." I didn't even get to ask her what she meant. Headlights flooded the glass. Metal screamed. My seatbelt cut into my collarbone as the world tilted, weightless, for one stupid breath. And then, dark. I woke up gasping. The same pale morning light. The same hotel white sheets. The same faint scent of Ethan's cedar cologne on the pillow beside me. The same digital clock on the nightstand reading 6:12 a.m., like it had never moved a minute in its life. For half a second, I thought I'd dreamed it. Then my body remembered. My ribs ached, even though they weren't bruised. My throat tasted like burnt pennies, even though there was no blood. My palms were sweating like I'd been gripping broken glass. I sat up so fast, the duvet slid off my shoulders. Ethan stirred. "Babe?" he mumbled, voice still thick with sleep. "You okay?" I stared at him, my husband. Alive, warm, safe, and my chest hurt in a different way. I lied. My tongue felt too big for my mouth. Bad dream. He rolled toward me and blinked, trying to focus. Thanksgiving Day nerves? That word Thanksgiving hit like a bell. Right. Today, we were driving to his mum's house in Greenwich. Big family thing. Turkey. Football. The whole glossy, American movie version of gratitude that always hid a few sharp edges if you looked close enough. And Jenna would be there. Jenna Park. Ethan's younger brother's wife. My sister-in-law in the legal sense. My shadow in the emotional sense. Sweet as honey on the surface. Always complimenting my dress. Always calling me sis. Always offering to help in ways that left fingerprints. And in my dream, she'd whispered those words right before the crash. This time, make sure you die. My hands went numb. Ethan kissed my shoulder. "We don't have to go early. Mum won't freak if we're not there the minute the Macy's parade starts." I swallowed hard. "What time are we leaving?" He frowned. Sleepy but amused. "Same as we said. 9-ish. Why? Because you were there in the car. Because I was there. Because I died at..." I shut my eyes. Tried to pin it down. The crash had felt like it happened mid-afternoon. After the parade. After a stoplight. After Jenna's face in the window. "Just checking," I said, forcing my voice into something normal. "I have a lot on my mind." He propped himself on one elbow and looked at me properly now. "Danielle, you sure you're okay?" I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to grab his hand and confess, like a child with a secret too heavy for her teeth. But the truth sounded insane, and insane women get dismissed. Even by kind men, even by husbands who love them. So I nodded. "I'm okay." Ethan's phone buzzed on the nightstand. He glanced at it. "Oh, Jenna texted. She's bringing her sweet potato casserole." The air in the room changed. Not because he said anything wrong, because he didn't. Because Jenna had trained herself to be harmless in front of him. Ethan smiled sleepily. "She's really trying this year. I know you two have had vibes, but she's making an effort." My mouth tasted like metal again. "Yeah," I said softly. "She's good at effort." I made coffee like I always did. Oat milk. Cinnamon. The kind of routine that used to calm me. My hands shook so hard I spilled grounds onto the counter, and the tiny mess made me want to scream, because I knew, in my bones, that if I did everything the same, I would die, again, and I would wake up again, at 6:12 a.m., with Ethan alive beside me, with Jenna's sweetness, waiting like a blade wrapped in velvet. I grabbed my phone and opened my calendar like the answer would be there. Thanksgiving. Dinner at Sunhees. Arrive 10:30. a.m. Bring wine. Bring pie. Smile. And at some point, crash. I tried to breathe through it. In for 4. Hold. Out for 6. I was not the kind of woman who unraveled. I ran a luxury womenswear brand that had survived a pandemic, supply chain disasters, investor drama, and the fickleness of rich women who wanted to be seen, supporting female founders as long as the founder didn't look tired. I had built Harper Atelier from a single rented sewing machine and an unpaid internship at a bridal shop into a label that had been worn by actresses and CEOs and one senator's wife who later emailed me a thank you note like I'd saved. Her life. I negotiated contracts. I handled chaos. I smiled in rooms full of people who would gladly eat me if it raised their stock. So why did I feel like a rabbit in the road? Because this wasn't business. This was my body. This was death. And the worst part, somewhere inside me, behind all the panic, a cold little voice whispered, Jenna said, this time. Meaning there had been other times. Meaning she knew. Meaning she'd been watching me loop like it was entertainment. No. No, stop. You can't assume. You can't spiral. You need facts. First rule of survival. Get data. So I did what I always did when I couldn't control the outcome. I started taking notes. By 7:30 a.m. Ethan was showering. I sat at the kitchen island with my laptop open and typed a document titled, Thanksgiving Day Do Not Die. My fingers hovered over the keyboard like I was about to draft a press release. I wrote, Crash happened after Jenna leaned into window. She whispered, This time, make sure you die. Headlights. T-bone. On passenger side. Location unknown. Time unknown. Afternoon. Then I stared at the bullets like they were laughable. A woman with $1 million business making a death checklist like it was a grocery list. I heard Ethan singing off-key in the shower. I heard the kettle click off. The normal sounds of life, mocking me. I forced myself to think like a strategist. If there is a crash later, I can avoid driving. Simple. I could stay home. I could fake sick. I could have Ethan go alone. But the dream had felt inevitable, like the universe had chosen that ending, and would reroute anything to get me there. Still, you don't test inevitability with your life if you don't have to. When Ethan came out in sweatpants, towel around his neck, I had my plan ready. I don't feel great, I said, pressing my hand to my stomach for effect. He immediately softened. Food poisoning, maybe stress. I barely slept. He came over, touched my forehead. You're not warm. I know. It's nausea. I think I should skip the drive today. His brows pulled together. But, Mom, I'll call her, I said quickly. I'll apologize. I'll make it up to her. You should go, though. She'll worry if neither of us comes. Ethan hesitated. He loved his mother in that steady, protective way men have, when their mother is the only person who never asked them to perform masculinity, to deserve affection. But he loved me too. Finally, he nodded. Okay, I'll go for a few hours. I'll bring you pie back. Relief hit so hard I almost cried. I watched him get dressed. I watched him pack the wine and the pie. I watched him kiss my cheek and say, Text me if you need anything. And when the apartment door shut behind him, I didn't feel safe. I felt like I'd stepped off a train track 1 second before the train arrived. Because if death was coming for me today, it didn't need a car ride. It just needed me. At 11:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Yenna. OMG. Hope you feel better, sis. Want me to swing by after dinner W soup? I can pick it up and bring it to you. My stomach turned. On paper, it was kindness. On paper, she was perfect. But something in my chest tightened the way it does when you notice a stranger matching your pace on a sidewalk. I didn't reply. At 12:10 p.m., someone knocked on my door. 3 knocks. Light. Polite. My heart started sprinting. I checked the peephole. Yenna. She was wearing a cream sweater and soft curls like a Hallmark movie. She held a brown paper bag in one hand and a bouquet of grocery store tulips in the other. My breath came fast. Why was she here? Ethan had said I was sick. She'd offered to come later. Why now? I didn't open the door. She knocked again, a little firmer, and called, Danielle? It's me. I backed away from the door like it could bite. Then my phone buzzed again. I'm outside. Just want to drop something off. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. If I open the door, she gets access. If I don't, she might leave. But I had a terrible feeling she wouldn't leave until she saw me. My brain flicked through possibilities, paranoia, and logic fighting like sisters. I texted back. Me. Thank you, but I'm asleep. Please leave it outside. A pause. Then, oh no. Okay, I'll just set it by the matbah. I waited. I heard rustling. I heard her footsteps retreat. Then silence. I counted to 60. Then I opened the door fast, like ripping a bandage, and grabbed the bag and flowers. The hallway was empty. I locked the deadbolts with shaking hands. On the kitchen island, I opened the bag. Chicken noodle soup from some organic place in town. Crackers, ginger ale, and underneath it all, a small plastic container labelled immunity shot, turmeric, ginger, cayenne. I stared at it until my eyes blurred, because it was exactly the kind of thing Jenna would bring. Exactly the kind of thing a sweet sister-in-law would deliver, and exactly the kind of thing you could slip something into. My lungs tightened. I didn't drink it. I didn't even smell it. I carried it to the trash like it was radioactive. Then my laptop pinged with an email notification. Subject line: Harper Atelier urgent. Driver delay. My supply delivery. The one scheduled for Monday. Why was it urgent today? I clicked. Our logistics partner apologized. There had been an accident on I-95. Significant collision. Delays expected. I froze. I-95. That's the highway Ethan was on. My hands went ice cold. I called him. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. My chest caved in. I paced. Phone glued to my ear, like pressure could force the call through. Then I saw the news alert on my phone, the kind that pops up like a casual punch. Breaking. Multi-car collision on I-95, near exit 10. 1. Fatality. My vision narrowed. Exit 2. That was the exit near Sunhee's house. I heard myself make a sound that wasn't words. I opened the article with trembling fingers. 1 fatality. Several injured. Traffic snarled for miles. No names yet. No details. But my body already knew. Ethan, because I had cheated death by staying home, and it had taken him instead. My knees buckled. I grabbed the counter. No, I whispered. No, 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 no. The room tilted. Then my phone buzzed. Jenna again. Jenna. All okay. I heard there's a bad accident on the highway. I stared at her message like it was stained. Because how did she know so fast? My throat tightened. My fingers flew. Ethan isn't answering. Is he okay? 3 dots appeared immediately. Oh my God, Danielle. I'm sure he's fine. Jenna. Maybe he's driving and can't pick up. Jenna. Don't panic. Don't panic. Like she was soothing a child. Like she knew the exact shape of my fear. I tried calling Ethan again. Nothing. Then the front door rattled. A key in the lock. My blood went cold. Ethan had a key, but so did I. And Jenna. She'd had a copy made months ago. Just in case. When she'd offered to water my plants during Fashion Week. I had laughed and said, sure, because she was family. The door opened. Jenna stepped inside, like she belonged there. She carried my tulips like she'd taken them from the hallway and decided she'd deliver them personally now. Her eyes landed on my face, and the expression she made was quick, too quick to be accidental. It wasn't pity, it was calculation. Danielle, she breathed, dropping the flowers on the table. Oh my God, are you okay? I backed away. Why are you here? She blinked, all innocence. I was worried. You didn't answer. And why do you have a key in your hand? She lifted it slightly, as if she'd forgotten she was holding it. Oh, Ethan told me to check on you if you weren't coming. Liar. Ethan would never do that without telling me. My heart hammered. Ethan's not answering. There was an accident on I-95. Jenna's face shifted just a flicker. Then her mouth formed a soft, oh. The performance kicked in. Oh no, she whispered. Oh my God, that's awful. But her eyes didn't look afraid. They looked satisfied. I took a shaky step toward her. Tell me what you know. She held up her hands, palms out. I don't know anything. I swear. I just heard. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered with a breathless. Hello? A man's voice. Clipped and official. Is this Danielle Harper? Yes. This is Officer Ramirez with Connecticut State Police. I'm calling regarding your husband, Ethan Park. My lungs stopped. Jenna's gaze locked on me, like she wanted to watch every second. Officer Ramirez continued. There was a collision on I-95. Mr. Park was involved. He's been transported to... I didn't hear the rest, because Jenna leaned closer. So close I could smell her vanilla lotion. And she whispered, so only I could hear. Wrong person. Again. My blood turned to fire. I spun toward her. What did you just say? Her eyes widened, instantly innocent. What? Officer Ramirez was still talking. Something about stable condition. Something about a hospital. Ethan was alive, but Jenna had just admitted something. I ended the call without meaning to, and stepped into Jenna's space. Say it again. She blinked. lips parting like a wounded doe. "Danielle, I don't know what you think. You said again?" Her face hardened for one breath so fast, most people would miss it. Then she smiled gently. "You're stressed. You're sick. You're hearing things." The rage in my chest had nowhere to go. I grabbed my phone and hit record. Too obvious, too shaky, too late. Jenna saw the motion and tilted her head. "Sweet. You should sit down. I'll call Sunhee and tell her what's happening." "Don't," I snapped. She ignored me, already dialing. My body screamed that something was wrong, that the real danger was not the highway. It was standing in my kitchen with a woman who could smile and stab without changing her tone. I lunged toward her hand to stop the call. Jenna stepped back smoothly, like she expected it. My foot slid on something wet. The floor rushed up. My skull cracked against the tile. A flash of pain, bright and final. As my vision tunneled, I saw Jenna crouch beside me, her face floating above mine like an angel in a painting. She brushed hair from my forehead, tender, and whispered, almost fondly, "You always fall for the nice version of me." Darkness swallowed the kitchen. I woke up, gasping. The same pale morning light. The same digital clock. 6 to 12 a.m. Ethan breathing beside me. My head not cracked. My body intact. But my soul shaken like a glass that had been dropped and caught. I lay there, staring at the ceiling. And I understood the one truth that mattered. I wasn't having a nightmare. I was trapped. And Jenna wasn't trying to hurt me in one single way. She was trying different ways until one worked. And if I didn't stop her, I would keep dying. Forever. I didn't tell Ethan. Not yet. Instead, I kissed him goodbye, like the dutiful wife I'd learned to be in front of his family. And I made a new plan. If death was scheduled for today, then today became a chessboard. And I was done being a pawn. I opened my laptop again and typed, "Loop #2 rules. As 1. Do not be alone with Jenna. 2. Do not drink anything she hands you. 3. Assume she has access keys. Schedules. Routes. 4. Find proof before the crash time. 5. End the day with Jenna exposed, or I die again." My fingers hovered. Then I added, 6. Keep Ethan alive. Because the loop wasn't just punishing me. It was testing what I'd sacrificed to escape. This time, I went to Sunhee's house. I did it for one reason. I needed Jenna close enough to study. If you're going to beat a snake, you don't do it from across the room. You watch where it hides. Ethan drove. I sat in the passenger seat, pretending calm, while my heart slammed against my ribs. Every mile felt like borrowed time. Sunhee's house was exactly what it always was on Thanksgiving. Warm, loud, and full of the smell of butter and roasted garlic. Sunhee Park, my mother-in-law, pulled me into a hug the second I walked in. "My Danielle," she said, voice thick with affection. She was Korean-American, but had lived in the US since college. She cooked like her mother and hosted like Martha Stewart. "You look tired. Too much work." "I'm okay," I said, and my throat tightened because she meant it. "Happy Thanksgiving." She cupped my cheek. "Eat. Rest. Today, no emails, no meetings. Just family. Family." Behind her, Jenna floated into the foyer like a swan. Cream sweater, soft curls, perfect smile. "There's my favorite founder," she chirped, opening her arms like she was welcoming me home. "Come here, sis." My skin crawled. I hugged her anyway, because I didn't know yet how to stop being polite without giving her the power to label me dramatic. Jenna squeezed tight and whispered into my hair, too low for anyone else. "Let's see what you try today." My stomach dropped. I pulled back and searched her face. She smiled brightly for Sunhee. "I brought the casserole. And I picked up those vegan rolls you like, Danielle." I remembered. Sunhee beamed. "See?" Jenna so thoughtful. Ethan kissed my temple. "Told you she's trying." I forced a smile. Inside, something hard formed. She knew. She knew I'd looped, which meant this wasn't random fate. This was planned. And Jenna was enjoying the game. I spent the morning watching her, like she was a magic trick I needed to understand. She stayed close to Sunhee, helping with dishes, complimenting the table settings, laughing at Ethan's jokes. She looked like the perfect daughter-in-law, but her eyes tracked me constantly. Not obviously. Not in a way anyone would call staring. In a way predators watch. At 12:48 p.m., I stepped into the pantry to grab a can of cranberry sauce. Jenna appeared beside me like she teleported. "I'm proud of you," she said softly. I turned slowly. "For what?" "For coming," she said. "You're braver than last time." My blood went cold. "Last time?" She tilted her head. Smile gentle. "Oh, sorry. Slip of the tongue. I meant last year." My hands clenched into fists so hard my nails bit my palms. She leaned closer, voice low and intimate, like sisters sharing secrets. "Does it feel like you're always waking up to the same day?" My throat tightened. "You're sick." Her smile didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. "And you're smart. That's why this is taking longer than it should." I stepped backward, knocking a stack of paper plates. They rattled. Jenna caught them before they fell. Still smiling, still sweet. Then she whispered, "The crash is at 3:26. My heart slammed. I stared at her. "What?" But she was already turning away, carrying the plates out like nothing happened. She left me alone in the pantry, shaking. Sandin Arshilofen. Now I had a time. Now I had a target. If I survived until 3:27 without dying, maybe the day would continue. Maybe I'd be free. Or maybe the universe would find another way. But I didn't intend to find out by accident. At 3 p.m, Ethan announced. "Danielle and I should head back soon. I've got to drop her at the office for a quick check-in, then home." My body went tight. Office? That wasn't the plan. That involved driving. That involved roads. I forced a smile. "Actually, I don't need to go in." Ethan blinked. "You said you wanted to see the samples for the holiday capsule." I hadn't said that. Not today. Jenna's voice floated in, sugary. "Oh, you should go, Danielle. Your brand is your baby. It's inspiring." I wanted to throw something. Soon he waved her hand. "Go, go. Danielle, work hard. But Ethan, drive careful. Too many crazy people. On holiday." Ethan laughed. "Yes, Mum." My mouth went dry. Sandin Arshilofen. I had 26 minutes. I needed proof. And I needed control. So I did something I'd never done before. I grabbed Ethan's hand in front of everyone and said, "Actually, I want to take a walk first." Ethan looked surprised. "Now? Just 5 minutes," I said. Eyes locked on Jenna. "Fresh air. I feel off." Sinhi nodded. "Good. Fresh air, good." Jenna's smile twitched. "I'll come with you." "No," I said too fast. Everyone looked at me. I forced my voice softer. "I mean, thank you, but I want Ethan with me." Ethan squeezed my hand. "Sure, let's walk." Jenna watched us step outside. Her eyes were calm, like she wasn't worried at all, like she knew the board was already set. Outside, the air was cold and bright. The neighborhood was quiet, rich quiet, the kind that feels curated. I walked fast, pulling Ethan along the sidewalk like I was trying to outrun something invisible. "Babe," he said gently. "What's going on?" I swallowed. The truth pressed against my teeth, but then I pictured Jenna in my kitchen, whispering while I bled on tile. I couldn't risk Ethan thinking I'd lost it, so I chose a half-truth. "I don't trust Jenna," I said. Ethan sighed, like he'd been waiting for this. "Danielle, I'm serious," I pressed. "She's off. She says weird things. She knows things she shouldn't." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Like what?" I hesitated. Then I lied again, but closer to the truth. "She told me the exact time we'd leave today, before you even said it." Ethan blinked. "That's not that weird." She could guess. "She said it like a threat," I whispered. "Ethan, please, for me, can we not drive anywhere at 3:26? He stared at me. "You're scaring me." "I'm scared," I admitted. Ethan softened instantly. He pulled me close. Okay, we won't drive. We'll stay here longer. We'll leave later. Whatever you need." Relief hit so hard I almost sobbed. We walked back toward the house. And then, a loud crack. A sharp sting near my ear. I jerked. Startled. A rock hit the sidewalk beside us, bouncing. I looked up. Across the street, a white delivery van idled at the curb. Engine running, driver's window down. A man inside, face shadowed by a cap, watched us. Then he raised his hand casual, almost friendly, and made a small gesture. A finger dragged across his throat. My blood froze. Ethan turned, following my gaze. "What the The van peeled away. My knees went weak, because the threat didn't come from a car accident. It came from a person, a hired person. And Jenna had resources. I grabbed Ethan's sleeve. We're going inside. Now. At 3:20 p.m., I stood in Sunhee's kitchen, pretending to help wash dishes, while my mind ran like a war room. Sanden Arshalufen. If there was a planned crash, it wasn't random, it was scheduled. Coordinated. If there was a driver, he needed a target location. We weren't leaving. So what now? I glanced through the kitchen window. The street outside was empty, but I felt watched anyway. Jenna entered the kitchen, carrying a platter of pumpkin pie slices. She smiled like a saint. Dessert time. Sunhee clapped. Oh good. Jenna set the platter down and leaned toward me, voice soft. You're changing the script. That's cute. My hands clenched around a wet plate. Why are you doing this? She blinked, fake confused. Doing what? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You know what? The loop. The accidents. The threats. Jenna's eyes flicked to Sunhee, making sure she wasn't listening, then back to me. Her smile widened, but it wasn't sweet anymore. It was thrilled. I didn't think you'd figure it out so fast, she murmured. I thought you'd spend more loops crying. My stomach turned. So you admit it? Jenna laughed softly, like we were sharing a joke. Admit what? That you're losing your mind? Danielle, I can't admit to something you can't prove. I swallowed. What do you want? Her gaze slid over me, slow, like appraisal. Like I was fabric she might buy, if the price dropped. I want my life, she said quietly. The one you stole by existing. I stared at her, stunned. She leaned closer. You walk into this family, and suddenly you're the son. Sunhee talks about your business, like it's a miracle. Ethan looks at you like you're the only woman on earth. Even my husband's mum, my mother-in-law, treats you like the daughter she always wanted. My skin went cold. That's not my fault. Jenna's eyes hardened. You don't get it. You don't have to fight for affection. You've always had it, even when you pretend you didn't. My throat tightened because she was wrong, and also because people like Jenna can't see anything but their own hunger. She smiled again, softer. It's okay. I'm fixing the imbalance. Then she lifted a small glass from the counter, something green and cloudy. That immunity shot, she said sweetly. For your nausea. My stomach lurched. I stepped back. No. Jenna's smile stayed in place, but her voice sharpened. Drink it. Sunhee turned slightly. What? Jenna brightened instantly. Oh, Danielle said she wasn't feeling good. I'm just helping. Sunhee smiled. Good, good. Drink, Danielle. My heart hammered. If I refused, I'd look rude, suspicious, crazy. If I drank, I might collapse. So I did something desperate. I took the glass, and I accidentally knocked it over, right onto Jenna's sweater. Green liquid splashed across cream knit. Jenna froze. For the first time all day, her mask slipped. Her face twisted rage, pure and ugly. Then it was gone. Oh, she squealed, laughing too loud. Oh my gosh, I'm so clumsy. But her eyes pinned mine. I saw the promise there. You're going to pay for that. Ethan walked in, sensing tension. Everything okay? Jenna spun toward him with a bright laugh. Perfect. Danielle just saved us from forcing her to drink something gross. Ethan chuckled, relieved. Good. My heart was still racing. Sanden Arshalufen. I checked the microwave clock. Sanden Arshalufen. I held my breath. Sanden Arshalufen. Nothing happened. No crash. No gunshot. No van through the window. Just normal life continuing. Hope flared in my chest like a match. Maybe if I avoided the exact conditions, I could outlast it. Maybe the loop broke at the time. Maybe. The back door slammed open. A gust of cold air hit the kitchen. A man stumbled inside, panting, eyes wild. He wore a delivery uniform. Sunhee yelped. Oh my God! Ethan stepped forward. Hey, are you okay? The man's gaze locked on me. His hand went into his jacket. My blood turned to ice. Jenna's voice came soft behind me, almost bored. Plan B. The man pulled out a gun. Ethan lunged too late. The gun barked. Pain exploded in my chest. I fell backward, stunned, breath leaving in a shocked rush. Ethan's scream ripped through the kitchen. Sunhee's voice high, broken, called my name. Jenna crouched near me as I sank to the floor, her face calm, almost gentle again. She brushed a fingertip along my jaw like she was comforting me, and whispered, "See you at 6:12. Darkness swallowed me. At 6:12 a.m. Again, my body snapped awake like it was trained. Ethan breathed beside me. My hands shook so badly, I couldn't even pick up my phone at first. But this time, the panic had edges. This time, I had clarity. Jenna wasn't just sabotaging a crash. She had a network, a hired driver, a hired shooter, a schedule, backup plans. And she was confident because she didn't need to get away with it long term. She just needed to kill me once successfully inside one loop. If she managed that, maybe the loop would end with my death permanently. And every reset that didn't end in my permanent death was just practice. For her, I stared at Ethan's sleeping face and felt something shift inside me, something primal. I had been polite for too long. I had been generous for too long. I had confused grace with safety. No more. This time, I wasn't trying to avoid death. I was hunting the person who kept delivering it. I left Ethan sleeping and went to the bathroom. I turned on the faucet so the noise would cover my breathing and stared at my own reflection. My face looked the same, but my eyes didn't. They looked older, like I'd lived 100 Thanksgivings inside one. I went back to the kitchen, opened my laptop, and made a new document. Loop #3 attack patterns. Jenna knows about Looper. Crash time, 3:26 p.m. Fixed. If no car crash, alternate violence occurs. Intruder W gun dot. Hired man wore delivery uniform. Jenna said, Plan B. She wants permanent death, not just reset. Then I added, objective. Get Jenna to incriminate herself, plus stop hired attacker before 3:26. And because I run a fashion company, I'm used to building a collection from chaos, thread by thread, pattern by pattern. I started building a trap. Over the next, I don't know, how many loops? Because time stopped being linear and started being a hallway, I sprinted down until I hit the same wall. I learned Jenna's habits, loop after loop. I tested small changes, like experiments. One loop. I stayed home and Jenna came to my apartment with soup and tried to drug me. One loop. I went to Sunhee's but refused all food Jenna touched, and the hired gun showed up anyway. One loop. I confronted Jenna in the pantry, and she laughed and said, "You're so fun when you're angry." One loop. I told Ethan the truth. He stared at me like I'd sprouted horns. Then Jenna arrived, kissed my cheek, and asked if I wanted help with my hair. Ethan's face softened, and I realized something ugly. Even good men can be trained to doubt you if the liar is charming enough. So I stopped trying to convince Ethan with words. I needed evidence that survived in the moment. Something undeniable. Like a confession, like a transaction, like a hired man in handcuffs. Loop after loop. I tracked the pieces. I discovered the delivery man wasn't random. His name, stitched onto the uniform in small red thread, was Marcus. I learnt it because in one loop he tripped in the doorway and his jacket flapped open long enough for me to see the tag. In another loop, I noticed the same white van idling down the street at 3:10 p.m. In another, I followed it in Sunhee's spare car, heart pounding, hands sweating on the steering wheel until it parked behind a strip mall. Marcus stepped out, smoking, checking his phone. I watched from behind a dumpster, like I was someone I didn't recognize. Then Jenna's car pulled up. She got out, still in her perfect sweater, still smiling like she was meeting a friend for coffee. She handed him an envelope. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw her mouth form the same phrase she'd said in my kitchen. Plan B? My pulse roared. I took out my phone to record, and a hand grabbed my shoulder. I screamed and spun. Sunny stood there, startled. Danielle, what are you doing? You go bathroom? And the moment broke, because in that loop, I didn't have enough time to explain. And by the time I got back, 3:26 arrived, and the van hit us head-on in the parking lot. Darkness, 6:12 a.m. Again, but now I knew. Jenna met Marcus before the attack. She paid him. She gave instructions, which meant I didn't just need Jenna's confession. I needed Marcus, because hired men are different from jealous women. Hired men want money. They want to survive, and survival makes people talk. In one loop, I approached Marcus early before Jenna could. I found the strip mall at 1 p.m. parked a block away, and walked toward him, like I belonged in danger. He leaned against the van, smoking. He looked ordinary. That was the horrifying part. When he saw me, his eyes narrowed. "You lost?" I kept my voice steady. "You're Marcus." He stiffened. "Who's asking?" "A woman you're scheduled to kill at 3:26, I said flatly. His cigarette paused mid-air. Then he laughed short, disbelieving. "Lady, you're crazy." I took a breath. "At 3:26, you're going to walk into Sun Hee Park's kitchen wearing that uniform and shoot me in the chest. If Plan A fails..." His face drained. Because I wasn't guessing. I was reciting. "How do you... You're on probation," I continued, watching his reaction carefully. "You have a daughter. Her name is Alana. You missed child support in August, and your ex threatened court." His jaw tightened. "Back off. You're doing this for money," I said. "But the person paying you isn't risking anything. You are." He stared at me like I was a ghost. I leaned closer and lowered my voice. "You don't want to do this. I know you don't. I've seen your hands shake when you reach for the gun." His nostrils flared. "You don't know a damn thing about me." I held up my phone. "Then don't. Walk away." His eyes darted. I could see the calculation. Then a car pulled into the lot. Jenna's car. Marcus's entire body changed, like a dog hearing its master's whistle. He took one step back toward the van. I grabbed his sleeve. "Marcus." He showed me hard. I stumbled, hit the pavement. Jenna stepped out of her car, smiling brightly, like she hadn't just walked into a murder planning session. "Danielle," she called, voice full of fake delight. "What a coincidence!" My palms burned. My heart hammered. Jenna's eyes slid to Marcus. Quick, then back to me. She tilted her head. "Are you following me?" I forced myself to stand, dusting off my jeans, like I wasn't terrified. I needed fresh air. I lied. Jenna smiled wider. "In a strip mall parking lot?" Marcus's hand was on the van door handle, ready to flee. Jenna's gaze flicked to him again. Then she said softly, "To Marcus, like giving a grocery list. Not here. Marcus Froese." My blood went cold. Because she wasn't just telling him not to shoot me. She was telling him not to shoot me here because it wouldn't be clean. Jenna turned back to me, sweetness intact. "Come on, sis. Let's go back. Sun Hee will worry." I stared at her and saw at how she moved through the world like consequences were for other people. I smiled and said, loudly enough for Marcus to hear, "Your daughter deserves better than a dad who does rich women's dirty work." Marcus flinched. Jenna's smile twitched. And then, a horn blared. A truck barreled into the lot, tires squealing. I barely had time to turn before it slammed into my side. Pain. Air knocked out. World spinning. As I lay on asphalt, breath turning to mist, I saw Jenna walk toward me calmly, like she was stepping around a puddle. She crouched and whispered, almost amused, "You're starting to bore me." Darkness. 6:12 a.m. Again, but this time, the boredom wasn't hers. It was mine. I was done dying in different outfits. I started using the loops like training. If Jenna wanted repetition, fine. I'd become unbeatable. I learned exactly what to say to Sun Hee to get her alone. I learned exactly how to redirect Ethan without raising suspicion. I learned Jenna's tells. The way her left thumb rubbed her ring when she lied. The way she blinked faster when she was angry. The way she over-smiled when she was about to strike. I learned where she kept her phone when she thought no one watched, tucked into the side pocket of her tote bag like it was an organ. In one loop, I accidentally spilled cranberry sauce on her tote and offered to clean it. She smiled and said, "Oh no, don't worry about it." I insisted, playing sweet. She handed it over. Inside, I found a second phone burner. My hands shook as I scrolled. Texts to an unknown number labelled M. Jenna? Plan A? Atre? Sugar sex. M. Copy. If she doesn't get in car. Plan B. Kitchen. If got it. Jenna. Wear uniform. No witnesses. Payment? After. Like last time. My blood went ice cold. I took photos of every message, with my own phone. Then Jenna walked back in, and I shoved the burner back like it burned my skin. I smiled. All clean. Jenna smiled. "Thank you, sis." Then she hugged me, and whispered into my ear, "You think pictures matter in a day that resets?" My stomach dropped, Because she was right. The photos would vanish with the loop. Anything I saved would vanish. Anything I collected would vanish. The only thing that carried over was me. My memory. My changes. My choices. Which meant the only way out was not to gather proof for later. It was to end it today. Inside the loop. In a way that stopped her permanently. Arrest. Confession. Exposure. A consequence that didn't reset because it would stop the loop from resetting. I didn't know how the loop worked. I didn't want to know. I just knew the end condition. Jenna had to lose control before 3:26, and she had to be unable to try again. The loop where it finally broke started the same. 6 to 12 a.m. Light. Ethan breathing. But I woke up calm, not because I wasn't scared, because fear had burned out and left something sharper behind. I kissed Ethan gently and whispered, "Happy Thanksgiving," like today was normal. Then I got up, put on jeans and a black sweater, and went to my laptop. I wrote 3 lines. Today's goal: E. Get Marcus to flip. 2. Get Jenna to confess on record. 3. Put Jenna in handcuffs before 3:26. Then I set the board. Step 1. Marcus. I needed leverage that mattered more than Jenna's money. So I used what I'd learned across the loops. His fear of going back to prison, and his love for his daughter. I searched public records fast, efficient, and found what I suspected. Marcus had a prior for assault, and he was on a strict probation, with a no weapons clause. I printed it. Yes, printed because I wanted something physical in his face. Something that felt real. Then I called Sunhee. "Hi, Mom," I said brightly. Sunhee warmed instantly. "Danielle, you feel okay?" "I feel good," I lied. "Listen, can we make today special?" Sunhee laughed. "It already special. Thanksgiving. I want to do a little gratitude toast," I said, voice sweet. "But I want it to be meaningful. Not just, I'm thankful for family, like everyone says." Sunhee loved meaningful. She lived for it. "Oh yes," she said, pleased. We do speeches. Perfect," I said. "Can you invite a few extra people? Just close friends. Your neighbor, Mrs. Feldman. And Pastor Jim, if he's free. I want it to feel community." Sunhee hesitated. "More people is more work." "I'll help," I said. "I'll bring catered sides. Please." Sunhee softened. "Okay, for you." Step 2. Ethan. I needed him close and steady, so I told him, "I want to leave early and help your mom." He smiled. "She'll love that." Step 3. Jenna. I texted her first. "Me. Happy Thanksgiving, sis. I have a surprise for you today. Come early, like 9:45. She replied instantly, "Omgie." Can't wait. Of course she couldn't. Because Jenna loved being part of my life, as long as she was sabotaging it. At 9:30 a.m., we arrived at Sunhee's. The house was already warm with smell and noise. Jenna arrived at 9:46, almost like she'd been waiting in her car down the street. She hugged me, smiling bright. "What's the surprise?" I smiled back, matching her sweetness like a mirror. Later, her eyes narrowed slightly. "Curious. Good. Curiosity makes people careless." By noon, Sunhee's dining room was fuller than usual. Mrs. Feldman, Pastor Jim, even Sunhee's friend from her community group. Ethan was in the living room, setting up the TV for the parade and football. And Jenna was doing what she always did. Floating, performing, making herself look like the kindest woman in the room. I watched her, patient. At 1:15 p.m., I excused myself to the kitchen and pulled Sunhee aside. "Mom," I said softly, "do you have any security cameras?" Sunhee blinked. "Cameras?" "Just for safety," I said. "You know, holiday traffic, packages. I was thinking about your peace of mind." Sunhee hesitated, then nodded. "We have Ring camera, front door, and one in hallway. Ethan installed after break-in down street." "Perfect," I smiled. "Can you show me how to access the feed?" Sunhee did, proud of her modern house. I memorized the app, the angles, the timestamps. Then I set my trap where Jenna couldn't see it. At 1:50 p.m., I went outside and placed my phone recording video inside a decorative fall wreath near the back entry. It wasn't obvious. It looked like autumn decor. The camera pointed directly at the back door, the door Marcus would use for Plan B. At 2:05 p.m., I left the house alone, just like Jenna expected. I took Sunhee's spare car and drove to the strip mall. Marcus was there, leaning against the white van, smoking. I parked across from him and got out. He stiffened as soon as he saw me. "You again," he muttered. I walked straight up to him, heart steady. "I'm not here to beg," I said. "I'm here to offer you a choice." He scoffed. "I ain't got choices. You do," I said, and held up the printed probation record. "You're one gun away from a decade." He stared at it, jaw tight. I stepped closer. "Jenna's paying you to kill me, but she's not paying your daughter's therapy when you disappear. She's not visiting you in prison. She's not explaining to Alana why her dad chose money over her." His cigarette trembled slightly. I pressed. "You think you're the only one she's used?" "No, you're just the one she picked, because you're desperate." Marcus swallowed. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do," I said, "because I've died enough times to stop being scared of you." His eyes snapped to mine. For the first time, he looked genuinely afraid. I lowered my voice. "Here's the deal. You walk away, and I help you. I pay your overdue child support. I get you a lawyer. I get you a job with our logistics vendor, Legit Work. You never touch a gun again." He stared, stunned. "Why would you do that?" "Because I don't want to ruin you," I said. "I want to stop her." He scoffed bitterly. "Stop her? Lady, she got money. She got connections." "So do I," I said simply. "And I have something she doesn't." He frowned. "What?" "I'm not running out of time," I said. "She is." I let that sit like a riddle. Then I added, "But you need to do one thing for me. You need to wear a wire. You need to get her to say it. On record." Marcus laughed, humorless. "She ain't stupid. She's arrogant," I corrected. "And she thinks she's already won." He looked away, conflicted. I stepped closer. "You want a way out?" "This is it." He swallowed hard. "If I do this, she'll kill me." "No," I said. "She'll try, and we'll be ready." He stared at me, eyes bloodshot, and whispered, "What the hell are you?" I smiled. "Small. A woman who's tired of dying." By 2:40 p.m., Marcus had a tiny mic clipped inside his uniform collar, hidden beneath fabric. He looked sick. I felt calm, because calm is what happens when you finally choose violence with purpose. We drove back to Sunhees separately. I returned at 2:55 p.m. and walked into the house like nothing was wrong. Sunhee was basting the turkey. Ethan was laughing at something on TV. Jenna stood by the dining table, arranging place cards like she owned the holiday. She turned when she saw me and smiled brightly. "There you are." I was worried. "I know," I said. "You worry so well." Her smile twitched, but she recovered quickly. "Did you get your surprise ready?" "Almost," I said, matching her tone. "You'll love it." At 3:05 p.m., I gathered everyone in the dining room. Sunhee lit candles. Pastor Jim smiled politely. Mrs. Feldman dabbed her lips with a napkin. Ethan sat beside me, squeezing my hand. Jenna sat across from me, eyes bright, posture perfect. I raised my glass. "Before we eat," I said, voice clear, "I wanted to do a gratitude toast." Sunhee beamed. "Yes." I smiled around the room. "I'm grateful for the people who show us who they really are." Jenna's eyes narrowed slightly. I continued, gentle. "I'm grateful for family, but I'm also grateful for truth, because truth is the only thing that keeps love from turning into control." Ethan glanced at me, confused. Jenna smiled politely. "Beautiful, Danielle." I lifted my glass slightly toward her. "Thank you." Then I set it down and said calmly, "Marcus, you can come in." The room went still. Sunhee blinked. "Marcus?" The back door opened. Marcus stepped inside in his delivery uniform, eyes wide, jaw tight. Jenna froze for half a second. Then she laughed lightly. "What is this?" Marcus swallowed and looked at me like he wanted to run. I gave him a small nod. He stepped further in. Jenna's smile stayed in place, but her eyes sharpened. "Danielle, who is that?" I leaned back in my chair. "You tell me." Jenna's laugh came out too high. "I have no idea." "Ethan? Do you know him?" Ethan looked between us, baffled. "Danielle, what's happening?" I kept my voice steady. "Marcus has something to say." Marcus cleared his throat. "Ma'am," he said, looking at Jenna, We need to talk about today. Jenna's eyes flashed. She stood slowly, smile still bright. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Marcus swallowed. You said, Plan B. If Plan A fails. The dining room air turned to ice. Sunhee's face drained. What? Jenna's smile didn't move, but her eyes went dark. Marcus, you're confused. He flinched slightly, like her voice had hit him. I cut in, calm. Tell her what you were hired to do. Ethan's grip tightened on my hand. Danielle. Jenna laughed. Sharp. This is insane. Marcus's voice cracked. You paid me to. Jenna's tone went sweet again, but it was poison. Marcus, remember what we discussed? You want the rest of your money, don't you? There it was. The slip. The confirmation. Sunhee stared at Jenna like she'd never seen her before. Jenna, what is he talking about? Jenna turned to Sunhee instantly, eyes wide, voice trembling on command. Mom, I swear I don't know. I reached under the table and tapped my phone. In the wreath by the back door, my hidden camera kept recording, and on Marcus's collar, the mic caught everything. I said softly, Jenna, do you want to know what I'm grateful for? Jenna's eyes flicked to me, irritated now. Stop this. I smiled. I'm grateful you can't hide behind your nice voice anymore. Jenna's nostrils flared. You're making a scene. I'm saving my life. I corrected. Ethan's voice shook. Danielle, what do you mean? I turned to him, pain flickering through me. I mean, I've died today, more times than you've ever apologized. His face went white. Jenna laughed, but it sounded strained. Oh my God, she's having a breakdown. Sunhee's voice went razor sharp. Jenna, stop. Jenna turned to her, shocked. Sunhee pointed at Marcus. Why he here? Jenna's eyes darted. Then she did what she always did when cornered. She tried to weaponize my success. She's jealous, Jenna blurted, voice frantic now. She thinks everyone loves her because she has money and a business, and I leaned forward, voice low and lethal. No, Jenna, you're jealous. Jenna's mouth snapped shut. I continued, steady. You hate that Sunhee looks at me like a daughter. You hate that Ethan respects me. You hate that my work matters. You hate that, when I walk into a room, people listen because they can feel I built myself. Jenna's eyes glittered with rage, and in that rage, the mask cracked. I built myself too, she snapped. The room went silent. Ethan stared at her. Sunhee's lips parted in shock. Jenna's chest heaved. She realized too late she'd raised her voice. She forced her smile back on, shaky. But the anger had already spilled. She pointed at me, trembling. You waltzed into this family like some perfect savior, and suddenly, I'm invisible. I'm the extra. I'm the one who has to clap while everyone worships you. Sunhee's voice broke. Jenna, we love you. Jenna laughed, bitter. No, you love her. Ethan stood slowly, voice low. Jenna, did you try to hurt Danielle? Jenna's eyes flashed. Of course not. I tilted my head. Then why did you tell Marcus you'd pay him after? Like last time. Jenna Frose, because she hadn't realized I knew that phrase. Her gaze snapped to Marcus, warning. Marcus swallowed and said, voice shaking, She paid me before. For the highway. Ethan's face drained completely. The highway? Sunhee gripped the table edge, like she might collapse. Jenna's smile vanished. Finally, fully, she looked at me with naked hatred. You're not supposed to remember, she hissed. My blood ran cold. So you do know about the loop. Jenna's eyes glittered. I know you're a problem that won't stay solved. Ethan's voice cracked. Jenna. She didn't even look at him. She looked only at me, and then she said at the confession, clean as a blade. I have killed you so many times. I stopped feeling guilty. The room stopped breathing. Sunhee made a sound like she'd been punched. Ethan's knees seemed to lock, and Jenna, realizing what she'd said, smiled slowly, cruelly. Oops, she murmured. Did I say that out loud? I exhaled, because that was it. That was the line I needed. I stood and walked to the front door, opened it wide. Officer Ramirez stepped inside with 2 other officers. Jenna's eyes widened for the first time all day, not in fake innocence, in real fear. I said calmly, You're right on time. Officer Ramirez nodded once. Ma'am, we received your call about an imminent threat and an audio recording. Jenna backed up. What is this, Danielle? You can't. I turned to her, voice steady, almost gentle. Oh, I can, I said. Because this time, I'm not dying quietly. Jenna's lips pulled back. You think this ends it? You think you win? I stepped closer until we were inches apart, and I said the words I'd been practicing across 100 deaths. You wanted my seat at this table so badly, I whispered. Take it. Her eyes narrowed. I leaned in. But understand something. Jenna, this seat isn't power. It's responsibility. It's love. It's showing up when you're tired. It's being kind when you don't get applause. I straightened. You can't stand that kind of weight. That's why you tried to remove me, instead of becoming stronger. Jenna's face twisted. Officer Ramirez stepped forward. Jenna Park, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and solicitation. Jenna's breath hitched. No, you don't understand. Sunhee stood, voice shaking but fierce. I understand. Get out. Jenna turned to Sunhee, desperate. Mom. Sunhee's eyes filled with tears. I called you daughter. Jenna's mouth opened, then closed. Ethan's voice was broken. Why her? Jenna looked at Ethan like he was a stranger. Because she took my life. Ethan shook his head slowly, grief turning to something colder. No, you did. You spent so long hating her that you forgot to live. Jenna's gaze snapped back to me. Pure venom. As officers cuffed her, she leaned forward and hissed. I'll see you at 6:12. My heart stuttered. But then, nothing reset. No darkness. No sudden snap back to morning. The dining room stayed real. The clock on the oven ticked forward. Sandianarshalufen, 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 and I was still standing, alive, breathing, free. Jenna's eyes widened as she realized it too. Her voice cracked. No, wait. Officer Ramirez escorted her out. Her scream echoed down the hallway like a tantrum from a child who'd finally been told no. And then the house went silent, in the way only betrayal can create. Ethan turned to me, tears in his eyes. Danielle, how long have you been carrying this alone? I swallowed hard. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, but from release. I didn't know how to make you believe me, I whispered. So, I made her confess. Sunhee stepped toward me, trembling. She touched my face with both hands like she needed to confirm I was real. My Danielle, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought Snake into my home. I leaned into her hands, and finally let myself cry. Not pretty tears, the ugly kind that come after survival. Ethan wrapped his arms around me, holding on like he was afraid I'd vanish. And I realized something that made my chest ache. I wasn't just fighting to end a loop. I was fighting to end the version of myself that kept trying to survive, by staying polite. A week later, the news called it a holiday horror. People online argued about motive, and money, and whether jealousy could really turn someone into a murderer. But I didn't argue. I knew, because I had watched Jenna's mask slip 1,000 times. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Jealousy isn't just envy. It's entitlement. It's the belief that someone else's light stole your oxygen. And entitlement makes people do monstrous things while still insisting they're the victim. Marcus took the deal. He testified. He got a job through one of my vendors. He started paying child support again. I didn't forgive him. Not fully. But I watched him choose not to be a weapon anymore. And I respected that choice. Sunhee went to therapy. Ethan did too. There were nights he woke up shaking, whispering, I'm sorry I didn't see it. I would hold his hand and say, you see now. And I kept building Harper Atelier stronger, sharper, more mine than ever, because the loop taught me something brutal and precious. Love doesn't require you to be nice to people who want you dead. Family doesn't mean access. And survival isn't only about escaping the crash. It's about refusing to live like you're always one smile away from being destroyed. Now, every Thanksgiving morning, when I wake up and see sunlight on the sheets, I still pause. I still listen to Ethan breathing. And I still check the clock. But when it reads 6:12, I don't feel fear anymore. I feel victory, because this time, I stayed alive on purpose.